yeah, here's our.
You
here's
are
our
the offspring
conversation
of your
there.
mom and your dad and your grandfather and your grandmother, so everything's snowballing. So the beliefs you got from mom and
Mhm,
dad,
Yeah,
and they got from grandma and grandpa, so when you do healings, you need to clear
Let's see if this is working.
all the beliefs of the past lineage.
I see. It makes sense.
I'm not sure where we're streaming.
My-
Oh, there we
Well, I need it
go.
and you-
Guys, we are live on Facebook right now in the group.
All right.
Cool.
How's anybody watching?
No, because I don't know if anybody even realizes that this group is still active.
Mhm. So,
Cool.
Find out.
Hey, Paul,
Hey.
come on in, join the party. Now, we are actually live streaming live to Facebook this time. So I'm just putting it out there to you that there's no takebacks. Whatever's said is out there. So, I mean.
There's no take backs any other time.
Yeah.
It's just confined to these walls is all, yeah.
The minute it's
Okay.
verbalized, it's now in the
Oh,
vibrational
oh, we got this on mute.
record.
So the cool thing is I can, if there's comments, then I'll be able to see it. So that's kind of cool. But this is really a test. Like, not many people are really monitoring this group or anything. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good.
yeah,
We'll be guinea pigs.
we are guinea piggying here. Yeah. And let me just change this so I can see what it changes to.
Now when I miss it, I'll just log into Facebook and I'm on the road.
All right.
All right.
Well, hello, Facebook world, for anybody actually watching us. My name's Hank Sutala. This is the Conversations with the God discussion group, which we're relabeling a CWG thought exchange, so there is no topic off limit, but we try to keep it themed to CWG. This is Dave. He is our resident question asker. This is our Scott, our resident space cadet. We're never quite sure what planet he's on. Amy and Paul. I didn't have anything clever to say about you
I
guys.
got one for Amy.
I'm fine with that.
I got
Okay.
one for Amy, Hank.
Yeah?
What's she gonna do?
What you gonna do? Cool.
What am I gonna
It's
do?
from the song.
What you gonna do?
Cool. But if you are watching on Facebook, you can ask questions. I can see here someone asks, and we can address your things too. So it's kind of weird seeing the lag. Now it's on Amy. Yeah, so anyway, but we can pretend that the camera's not there for the most part and just have our normal discussion.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, cool. So, I got my book here. Right now, I'm the only one watching it, so no one's there yet. Well, what fun conversation path do we want to go down
Go to
today?
page 144.
144.
Wow.
You guys have memorized?
I don't
No.
know, oh my God.
It's just a
No,
number that's there.
Steve. Who the hell's Steve? Scott.
Got the S though, Steve Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Sean Phillips coming in too now.
Hello.
Hello, Sean.
Hey,
So, full disclosure, we are live streaming to Facebook right now, the meeting. So.
hi Facebook.
Yep, you can't be seen yet, but come on in.
Now you can.
There's Sean. So we're just doing this as kind of a test. There's a
Hi,
seat
I'm
of,
Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Paul.
Yep.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, dude. You're Chili.
Yes, Chili Dave.
Scott, yeah.
Scott, nice to meet you. And I'm
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy. Nice to meet you.
Cool.
This is our biggest group I've been on.
yeah, it's always different.
Yeah.
And I don't mean for it to feel
It's
like
always
all
the
this
same.
like one-sidedness here, but, for filming purposes, it doesn't work to be in a circle as much.
I know, you just wanted to use the Mevo, so.
I do want to
It's
use
all good.
Mevo.
Go
Yes.
for a class
Woohoo.
with a teacher or something.
Well, I'll be testing it out on the weekend too. I'm teaching a Reiki class, so I'm gonna just Mevo myself and see, play with it, being my own cameraman.
So when you talk, the camera turns to you.
No, but it does, if sometimes we'll recognize someone talking and then it zooms in. So like right now, if you were talking, it's gonna zoom in on you, and it's just gonna show you, and it may or may not do that, because I has this like autopilot setting, and it will do a lot of that, but if in a setting like this where there's not a lot of movement, it may or may not pick up on it. So let me do Find Faces, Live Follow, and Autopilot. So now I turn the autopilot on, and it will actually do that. It wasn't on
It'll go
before.
To the person that's speaking.
Well, because it's not picking up the sound necessarily, but if you're like moving around, like right now, it's picking up on me because I'm moving around. So if you're talking and you're like talking with your hands, then it's gonna like focus on you.
So if you're one of them
So invite
inflatable
some
things from the
Italians.
store.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
two people are moving around at the same time. Does it get
Get
confused?
confused.
No,
It starts to smoke.
it asks God who it should go to.
That's a whole entire other.
Yeah, that's
conversation.
guys who have a conversation.
See, now it just picked up
Yeah.
Dave's face and then followed him off camera.
It's watching you right now.
Cool.
All right,
Cool.
so we'll start.
Yeah, well, we kind of already started. Now we got all the.
Oh, yeah, 144.
Page 144.
Yeah.
144.
So for anybody tuning into this Facebook Live from a group that hasn't been used since 2012, we pick up a random page sometimes or start with a question and then we just kind of read for
Well, first off, where did 144, how did that come along?
He just picked it.
12 times 12.
Here he goes again.
I understand that, but
asking
did you just, boom?
Just
And
12.
using hands.
Okay.
It's all gonna be on you. Using hands.
All right.
My asphyxiation for the month is 13.
Ah, okay. Well, all right, let's hear it.
Okay, so 144, let's go back one page. Neil asks, train the mind, isn't that like mind control? Isn't that just mental manipulation? And God responds, do you have any idea how your mind came up with the thoughts it now has? This explains why you picked 144, right? Do you not know that your world has manipulated your mind to think as you do? Wouldn't it be better for you to manipulate your mind than for the world to? Would you not be better off to think the thoughts you want to think than those of others? Are you not better armed with creative thoughts than with reactive thoughts? Yet your mind is filled with reactive thought that springs from the experience of others. Very few of your thoughts spring from self-produced data, much less self-produced preferences. Your own root thought about money is a prime example. Your thought about money is it's bad, runs directly counter to your experience. It's great to have money. So you have, well, speaking of which, we have a How to Become Money workbook, 10 teleseries coming up in July. So if you want to change your thing about money, there's going to be 2 things here at the center that will be in person, but we're also going to live stream it using Mevo. And then she goes back to Maryland, and then the final 8 calls are just going to be remote anyway. So if you're interested in that, you can come up, or you can just take it from down where you guys are and be our Mevo guinea pigs. Anyway, it's kind of fitting that you would pick a way for me to put a plug in for a class. Thank you. Should put you on the payroll.
All right.
Need to put me
I'll
on the
accept.
payroll first.
I'll accept.
Your thought about your own root thought
You heard
about
it.
money.
On payroll now.
Is that
Face
true?
confirmed too.
Is a prime example. Your thought about money isn't that it's bad. It runs directly counter to your experience. It's great to have money. So you have to run around and lie to yourself about your experience in order to justify your root thought. So you're rooted in the thought. It never occurs to you that your idea about money may be inaccurate. So now what we are up to is coming up with the self-produced data. And that is how we change the root thought and cause it to be your root thought, not another's. You have one more root thought about money, by the way, which I have yet to mention. And Neil says, what's that? And the response is that there's not enough. In fact, you have this root thought about just about everything. There's not enough money. There's not enough time. There's not enough love. There's not enough food, water, compassion in the world. Whatever there is, that's good. There's just not enough. This race consciousness of not enoughness creates and recreates the world as you see it. And Neil says, okay, so I have 2 root thoughts, sponsoring thoughts to change about money. Oh, at least 2, probably more. Let's see, money is bad, money is scarce, money may not be received for doing God's work, that's a big one. Money is never given freely, money doesn't grow on trees, when in fact it does, money corrupts, etc. Now, there's a lot of access in that.
I know.
Sentence. Because there's also, like, just to springboard off of this, another thing that limits money is something called glass ceilings. And glass ceilings are the idea that if you were growing up in a situation and you have like spouses, siblings, friends, and there's comments of like, why can't you be successful like your brother Timmy? Why can't you be like this, like so-and-so? And you buy into the idea that you are not as good as them, subconsciously you can always create a limitation that you aren't willing to receive more than this because you can't exceed and be more than what they are because you bought in that they're the one that has their shit together, not me. Oh, I swore on Facebook. Oh, no. Cool. Any thoughts around that, especially from our Access folks? There's lots of good stuff around that.
I liked how they framed the difference in terminology is nice, where it's this rooted in the belief. I like how that
There's something with theta
boils
healing
down.
too, isn't there, with like root thought or root belief in theta healing?
That's what theta healing's all about, is your, what they call it, the bottom belief.
The bottom belief, root belief.
Yeah, root bottom, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I took that with the access tools and then said, okay, so we want to melt all the lies and limitations of the root belief to get past it,
Mhm.
to grow and just be able to expand.
Yep. And then also the idea that the only way you can have abundance is through money, like a lot of people cut off their receiving, or the access is real big with distinguishing between actualization and manifestation. Manifestation is how something shows up, and actualization is that it shows up. And if we're so focused on that, in order to have abundance, it needs to show up in a certain way, like a raise in your paycheck. You cut yourself off potentially from all the other places the universe could deliver into your abundance because you've decided you're only willing to receive in this one way. And once you become in the space that, hey, I don't care how it comes, I'll take abundance any way I can get it. You know, just kind of how we are with getting our bars. We're like, I'll take my bars anytime, right? Doesn't matter. You're just willing to receive, and however that receiving, or however it's going to show up for you to receive, you just become open to it. Very cool. Any questions, Dave? Our resident question
On
asker?
that?
No, on anything.
I don't know how long we're gonna be on that.
However long we want. There's no,
I'm trying to think of something about that to question. Well, we kind of just talked about some of the stuff I would mention.
I had another.
go for it.
To me, what hit big for me was that there's like no money in doing God's work. That was what he mentioned, that there's more. That was big.
Yeah.
That just came up with like, oh yeah, like,
In other places in the
Yeah.
book, it makes the point that probably the most important roles in our society, teachers and healers and things, we pay the least, and the people that like doctors and things that should be accessible to everyone, they get paid the most and are inaccessible, and it's like counterproductive. That has a lot to do with, I find that when I went to Lilydale, a lot of people had a hard time because they look at their healing abilities and things as a gift, and they're taught, well, if you have a gift, you just need to share it, you shouldn't charge for it. And our teacher was very big on, you're not charging for your gift, you're charging for your time. And by charging for your time, you enable that more of your life. You have the ability to work with more people, because if you gave everything away, you might only be able to work with people 5 hours a week. But if you charge for your time, now you have 40 hours a week, it's your full-time job. And when it's right to, you can still gift to people if they can't afford it. But it's not like the way. It's not like you have to be in poverty in order to be a healer or to be a reader or whatever else.
I heard that from somebody once, and I was totally stunned. I thought I knew this person pretty well. I worked with them day in and day out for 4 or 5 years, and I had referred her to a shamanic healer who did a really good job for her, to the point of being amazed. And I said, are you going to go back? And she said no. And one of the reasons she said that was, I don't believe she should charge for this. I was at a loss for words. So this woman's put years and a lot of money in for schooling and classes, and I just couldn't believe those words came out of her mouth.
But that is a very common belief around, especially a lot of the native traditions, is that you don't charge money,
And she's
but you might
partially
take a
Native
blanket
American.
or something like that.
She's partially Native American. I don't know if that has anything to do with that, but
It may.
I was just flabbergasted.
Like if you go out and train with like a medicine man, a Lakota or something like that, they won't take money for it, but you might bring them, like if you go to stay with them for a month, it would not be uncommon for you to bring groceries for a couple weeks, to bring blankets, to bring rifles, to bring all kinds of stuff. And you might bring like $5,000 worth of stuff with you, but they won't take money. But that's just like the way that the,
In exchange.
Well, it's called exchange.
right. And in Peru, like when I did a shaman apprenticeship program that I charge like $350 a weekend for, down there you would like give a llama and a chicken or something like that to the shaman. So I think 350 is a pretty good deal. But
Well, many, many years ago, I had a relative in a small town in Italy who was an MD, and the poor people there, that's the way they paid him. Oh, many times it was with chickens, cheese, and
right.
because they didn't have money. But
And I
there
can't-
was some exchange.
Right. And there's, in Peru at least, the shaman who's getting all these blankets and things, he has them all in his little hut, and there's like bags of rice and all these things. And when there's like a mudslide or when there's something that happens that wipes out a community, they're the first ones to take all that and give back. So it's also an understanding that the people who are charging for that time, when there's a need in the community, they have the resources where they can give to the community. And it's just kind of like another way that the reciprocity plays out potentially in the end. That's just one way in Peru anyway.
They're kind of their version of the first responders.
It is, yeah. And there, I mean, it's like a 3-day hike just to get to a place where you might be able to hitchhike to get a car to go to a hospital. So like the shamans are really the first, they're the people you go to for everything. Whether it's a broken bone, cut, spiritual needs, emotional needs. But their healings are totally different too, because they don't get caught up in the story. You might just sit with the shaman in the little hut for a bit and be like, okay, you're done. And that's it. Like, what did you do? Like, you're done. Like, what'd you do? they don't get into a dialogue about, tell me about your day, what's going on. They don't care about the story. It's all about this energy, and you don't have to redefine the story. That's what I love about Access too. It's like, get out of redefining the shit. You do not have to redefine the shit to let it go. You just have to let it go.
Okay, question on that.
Sure.
If you don't work on their story, can't they bring that story back and then recontaminate themselves with bad
In our
energy?
culture, possibly. In their culture, that's just the way. They don't.
They let it go.
Right, and like if you take Hawaii before it got modernized with English language, they didn't even have a concept of past or present, or past or future rather. It was always just now. There wasn't past tense, there wasn't future tense, it's just now, the ever-present moment of now. For them, in that mindset, things that happened, like you just don't hold on to that stuff, because it's the ever-present moment of now. And when you're now lineated because of our belief system, past, present, future, and being fragmented as a soul, like living in all these different places, you are more likely to bring that stuff up. But we have this need as a Western world, I think, that mentality, like you move into a house, right? And you have boxes in the basement that have not been opened for 10 years. But you just can't bring yourself to throw that box away without looking inside first. But you know full well you could just throw the box away and you'll never know the difference, right? But we just want to open the box. We got to open the box. What's in the box? Right? If you watch Summon, you'll get my Brad Pitt reference. But
Oh, yeah.
you just got it? I know, kind of.
I thought you said a different word, and I was like, oh, he said 7, yes, okay.
Yeah, 7.
Well, that's the Christian mentality. You've got to be present and open to present.
Yeah, present, open, and present. But you're right, because we have the tendency to dwell so much on the past, and also growing up, we're taught to suppress things. Like, oh, you got to get over that. You know, like we're not trained just to be with whatever happened and process it. It gets compartmentalized. Help me out with the word.
Compartmentalized.
There we go. And then it gets locked away in cellular memory if you want to look at it from a metaphysical perspective. And then there's ways to get rid of that, but we do want to, like we have a really hard time just letting go without revisiting and knowing what we're letting go of. And part of that is we spent how many years of our lives screwing ourselves up? Could it really be as easy as just making a choice not to be screwed up anymore? But we put this weight on, I took all this time to get here, I need to spend all this time to fix myself, and it's just a way that we're kind of programmed, but it doesn't have to be the way. There was one guy, what was it? Someone shared it with me. There was a story about a similar thing where you go into the healer's room and he would make a tea and he would just drink tea with you and he would just talk about, just chit chat about whatever. And at the very end, he would shake your hand. And in that moment when he shook your hand, the entire thing happened. He would balance all your energy centers and be done. So I was just like, wow, could it be that easy? I think I heard about the story from Joe Mattson, who's a sound healer and teaches on like antiquity healing, like Atlanteans and things like that. So I decided at a show I was going to try this. So I asked the lady, like, I just want to shake your hand and I want you to tell me what you experience, if anything. And I shook her hand and I just had that intention to balance instantly all her energy centers just with the handshake. And she was like, whoa, what was that? I'm just like, what'd you experience? And it was just, her experience was just like the snapping in of energies, and she became aligned. And I didn't tell her what I was going to do. I just said, I just want to shake your hand and let me know what you experience, if anything. But that was my intention, is from that story, tapping into that energy. What if you could just go in 1 second and just heal everything, and just with that one intention, bring them all into alignment? But we get really foobarred up with, do you know what foobarred stands for? Effed
No.
up beyond all reason. We get really foobarred with how we were taught. I don't want to say the actual F-bomb on Facebook, just in case, you know. We're still the only viewers, so I don't think we have to worry too much.
Either read
Wait, I
it-
said hi to Facebook and there wasn't
not
even
raising
anybody
it.
out there that was literally saying hi to Facebook.
On the re-recording there.
Right. Well, this is gonna instantly.
Oh, right, when they come back and watch it.
This is
Yeah.
going down for, years and years.
Years to
Right.
come, yeah.
Yeah.
The archives.
Well, last time we did a test, it was just to an unlisted YouTube channel. This time it's to a Facebook group that hasn't really been active that long. But now if we, actually advertise that we're gonna have the meetings online, we could have a lot of online interaction going forward. I just wanted to make sure it was gonna work before I advertised it. Then everybody shows up all excited. It was like, it didn't work. This is also, I'm gonna do my Facebook Zooms. I'm gonna make a Facebook, like a sound healing group, and I'm just gonna do a live stream every month or whatever. And then it's a different type of interaction, because Zoom is nice, but like it doesn't stream instantly. You have to upload it. This is all like just done. I like it. I'm a little prejudiced. Oh, you see me in the video going,
There's new socks on.
There's new socks. They're not new socks. Oh no. I'm so self-conscious about my dirty socks. I don't know if I'll be able to look at myself in the mirror. And all that brings up, just trying to create.
Yeah. Thinking the same. Yeah, you can let all that go, please.
Letting all that go. He said loudly as if not to disturb the neighbors.
That's the only when Dane's yelling number 8.
To go on Paul, was it Paul, is that right? What's his name?
Paul.
Yeah.
Paul, okay, to go off of what Paul was saying about the charging thing, I don't know where we read it somewhere about, masters, like the Indian masters don't charge, If they're a true master, they don't charge for what they're doing. So that may have kind of played in with what that lady thought, I don't know. When he was flabbergasted about that lady saying you shouldn't charge, maybe she had that mentality, I don't know. But that was one thing that I had read, is that if they're a true master, they're not gonna charge for what they're saying, or what they're telling you, or what they're doing, so.
I would think if they're a true master, they don't want to charge, and when they don't.
So,
Different point of view.
yeah.
Because there are people that I gift things to. I saw one person every week for a year, and I didn't charge them anything. And I just said, if you can pay something, great. If you can't, no worries, just keep coming.
Mhm.
And sometimes she brought me like cookies, and sometimes she brought me a winning lottery ticket for Cash Explosion, and I could fill it out and see if I get to go on TV. Sometimes she had money,
Yeah.
but like I didn't have any expectation of getting anything. But that was a scenario where it was just the right thing to do and the right, for that scenario.
Well, there are some masters that charge though, so.
But then they're not masters according to you.
That's what, so what do you gotta believe? What do you believe then? Like Nithi, it's like they want to keep charging for all these courses. I'm like, well, is Nithi really charging this, or is this center charging this, or what's going on here?
Yeah. So to play off of that, I was like, well, I wonder if there's any truth to that. If you really had no point of view, like at all, about whether you're receiving money or not, and that the universe is totally abundant, would you charge anything if you were like? I wonder if that
Yeah.
has any,
Well, when you realize that you are the world and you have all the money in the world, then
Yeah.
what does it matter?
Because you are the only one in the room, but we're also all separate. The greatest truths are paradoxes. One's an absolute truth, one's a duality truth. But in the duality, your point of view creates your reality. And the thing that's confusing is every single person could literally be having a different reality, and your truth is different from my truth, because really it's all just arbitrary. It's all just, what do you choose to believe in that moment? And what creates more fun for you? If you're worried about the person that is judging the healer because they charged, then you're already charged by that, and where are you aligning, agreeing with, or resisting, reacting to that? Because in the perfect, the true master wouldn't care what you thought. They would just be doing whatever they were led to do, whatever felt light, and they wouldn't give a shit what you thought. Right?
yeah.
Right, and they might charge one person, they might not charge another person, and in the moment, they're going to be the energy to be whatever they need to be for the person they're working with. And for some people, they cannot take a gift. That's one thing we work on in bars: kindness, gratitude, peace, and calm. Like, some people cannot accept, because like a gift from somebody comes out of fear of obligation. So someone that doesn't charge for that type of person did a disservice to that person, because there's no way that person can receive the healing, because, oh my gosh, I didn't pay them. I have to pay them something. Now they're going to be all bent out of shape because I didn't pay anything. And you have it on both sides. So the real mastery is being able to step into what energy, space, and consciousness can I be for this person in this moment to create the most possibility for everybody involved. That will help everything or help everyone and not hurt anyone. Because it's also looking at it on the micro level, but also the macro level. Because if what energy they need would hurt somebody else, then is that really the greatest possibility? Or could you be something that's going to create possibility for them that also doesn't take away from anything else? Because that's the distinction between self-first and selfish. Self-first is when you're taking care of yourself, but selfish is when you're doing that at the expense of another consciousness. Right. I'm glad I'm reporting that. Self-first versus selfish. Because I say that a lot, like be self-first. But selfish is when it's at the expense of another stream of consciousness.
Well, that's
Yeah.
CWGs, that's material for CWG is self-first. You know, that's what it's all about, is putting yourself first.
Because you're the only one in the room.
But, and, you know, and it's also along with the whole, you know, with us as all being a bunch of healers is, you know, heal
Ooh,
thyself.
we have somebody else that just joined our conversation.
All right.
Hello, Michelle. I think it was Michelle, somebody. If you have a question, you can type and we can address it. This is a Conversations with God discussion group. I'm sure you know that because it's a Facebook group and that's the title. But we're going to start doing these live streams for our meetings. So if you can't make it to the meeting, you can always just tune in or watch it afterwards. And that's it. Cool. So welcome. Glad you're here. We were just talking about being self-first instead of selfish, where you're doing things that are going to, it's kind of like the airplane philosophy where if the oxygen masks come down, you put your mask on first before you're helping others. So that's the idea of self-first, where selfish would be you're doing that, but like say your mask didn't fall down, and so you steal someone else's, that would be like a selfish type of thing, because now you're being self-first at the expense of another. So maybe that's arguable, but that's that. Cool. Anything else around, oh, and if you have the book at home, we were reading from book 1. My book might be different. This is like a trilogy book, but it's page 144 of book 1 in the trilogy book, which is the second page or third page of chapter 11, if you wanted to grab the book and see what we were just reading. Cool. Where do we want to go from there? How much more fun can we have?
Yeah.
Is
I'll see
it time to
better than
pick
this.
another page number? for
Well,
that?
actually, he might have questions. He has a whole notebook.
Well, I brought
A big notebook.
Yeah.
Let's
I put
see.
something- I put
You
something
come
in
with a
there.
prepared list of questions.
I
to-
used to, but.
Sometimes
it
does.
Not so much anymore, because everything's making more sense these days, so. And it's becoming my reality, so I'm understanding it more. That I just dropped all the shit and don't care. So, one of those two.
Or it's both.
Or both, I was gonna say or both, so. And, well, it's true, you know, and, you know, that was one of the way, you know, we talked a little bit about that after I got back from Chile, was the way that I have been progressing this year, is I dropped everything. You know, I was always very protocol focused. You gotta do A, B, and C to get to Z. So, and I dropped all that crap, so, and it's nice.
Now we're not
Yeah.
even in the English alphabet. We're on,
Right. Yeah.
we're on some other
Now we're in
character.
we're in symbols or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on
Get the rest of
symbols.
that.
Well, this symbol plus that symbol, but that's one thing I'm supposed to get to do with symbols, so, but right now, I'm just getting shit done so I can get into other stuff. But anyway, so where was I going with all that?
Did you have any question?
Yeah, I was on my phone with the questions, so, but yeah, drop the shit.
Direct
Right
ones.
question.
That's why you need protocol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's this is my protocol right
Then-
here. Stay on questions. I had, I go down to Columbus every once in a while for a reading thing. It's like a psychic practice session. Just a bunch of people around the table get around and we read each other. So, and we give off, we usually give 2 or 3 things about each person, and we go through all those things and let everybody read those things. Anyway, so one of those things I came up with for me was that, and then I'll correlate to CWG here, is if it's on your path, you will manifest it. So that was one of the messages that came through, was if it's on your path, it will manifest. So with that being said, back to, I don't know about CWG, I guess it'd be on there, but CWG is a lot about free will.
Mhm.
So a lot of free will stuff in there, so that
Think we don't have
statement
free will?
of if it's not on my path, it won't manifest, well then where's my free will? You know, if it's not on my path, but yet it's my free will to manifest it, then why would I manifest it? Why wouldn't I manifest it?
You're
You're
creating your
stuck in a
path.
karmic loop,
I'm not
so-
sure about your premise, because it kind of assumes that there's one path.
Mhm.
There
Right.
could be several paths in front of me right now, right?
Okay.
I can
But
get
you're
up and
creating
leave,
your
or I
path.
can sit here and stay and listen to
Yeah.
you.
And you could also create your own.
You-
There's
You're
nothing-
creating your own path, so.
Yeah.
It's,
And it
it's
could always
going to
be
manifest if you
predetermined.
created that on your, that path. Does that make
Well,
sense?
no, well, I mean,
Well, you do have free, it is free will, you're creating the path you're on, so.
but it almost sounded like a limitation though, didn't it? Doesn't it?
I
To
don't-
me, it
I don't think it
does.
does.
And
If
just
it's
the
on your
word
path.
manifest is,
But it
You
didn't say
create your
paths,
path.
like you're referring to.
What did you say again? Say it again.
If it's on your path, it will manifest.
Okay.
Yeah, the
So
path you
now if there are
created.
different paths, then yeah, I mean, if we're creating those paths, then,
That's
I was gonna ask, well, what is a path?
right? Well,
Path
What
is
is
a
a
choice.
path?
Yeah, well-
And are you gonna
Okay.
choose to go down a path that someone else has trodden, or are you gonna choose to cut through the jungle and make your own?
yeah, well, my take from that is if it's on my path, then that's something, my path or our paths are something that our soul chose to do in this
I will
form
give you this
of day
nursery
here.
rhyme that will help you. Row, row your boat. Life is but a dream. Stay in the flow. If it goes right, go right. If it goes left, go left. If it goes faster, it goes faster. If it goes slower, it goes slower.
In one of the traditions of shamanism, I believe the Siberian one, the actual shamanic tradition, they have this idea that you have this inner tube, kind of called like a bubble, like an aura or whatever, and life is like a river. And we're resisting things and we don't want to jump in, but as soon as you can just like jump in, you're just going to float down the river, and then all the fruits that are available in that flow, you can just reach up and grab. But sometimes we're so worried about falling out of the inner tube or not jumping in to begin with that we're missing all these opportunities that are there. And all you have to do is be aware of them. And it's not a question of manifestation, it's a question of just choosing to allow it in that case.
I kind of like that. I like the image of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it too, but it doesn't match up with what that said though.
But that's okay.
And then what Sean, is it Sean?
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then what Sean was saying, it'll define the path, I guess, first, right?
Yeah, and I had a little bit
So-
more to that too,
Sure.
where it was like, what if you're just always choosing a path wherever it goes, and it could change every time you choose something, or every second it's changing. So it's like it's on this path. It's also the path isn't necessarily
Fixed.
straight
Mm.
fixed. it's all
That's
over.
true.
Like the word
Yeah.
bus
That's kind of what I
mentality,
was
right?
getting at.
Yeah.
Every-
Just go with the
Every
flow.
choice you
Wherever
make
it goes, it
leads
goes.
to a new
A
set of
difference.
probabilities.
Right.
That's true.
And then you,
Because the
by
stream will
moving
go where it
forward, you
needs to go.
eliminate some probabilities
Yeah, it doesn't
and
always
open up
go
another set
this
of
way
probabilities.
Just
Right.
be with nature.
forever.
Yeah. No, I think we're kind of talking
You know,
the
it
same,
has
to-
same principle.
Yeah,
If
with
you have to
different
go over
words,
the
yeah.
waterfall, go over the waterfall.
Could go over the
But it
waterfall.
still sounds like it's a limitation though, to me.
Well, that's perception.
But the
That's
path
right.
and
Because
everything
if
on
it's
it.
if it's on the path, it will manifest, so therefore if it's not on the path, it won't manifest, and therein lies the limitation.
But you, as an infinite being, you can recreate the path as you go. It's kind of like, in that symbology, was this from CDBG or where was this from?
No, this is a reading that I got from the practice session down there,
Okay.
so.
Because in the way that,
And it's been
like, if it's
bothering
on
me.
the path or not on the path, it almost feels as though like you're picking somebody
Well,
else's
then you need to
well-trodden.
fall off the tube and get
Right.
like rinsed.
Oh, yeah.
Get off the tube.
Dave,
Get off the tube, get rinsed, go back on the tube.
But that's just what that one person said.
Think-
Bill.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's
That's-
been bothering you, then that irritant is a sign that there's something that you don't agree with about it, you know? And you're throwing it out here because you'd like some resolution to that,
Yeah.
possibly?
I was going to play off that and say, is there any truth to that statement?
Well, you're in the
Like-
river and you're in a canoe
Yeah.
and the canoe flipped over, so now you're under the canoe. You don't know where you're going.
He's still on the river.
Right, yeah, I mean, well, I guess if you look at it from a soul standpoint, and you came here for a particular reason.
So you have to trust the river and you're underneath the canoe till it slows down. So that's what you're at. You're at a trust point.
At a trust
You have-
point?
You have to trust what you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Trust what you
That's just
feel.
one.
Just
you know,
pretend you fell out of the canoe and it's upside down. You're in a fast spot of water. You're worrying about how to get out of it. You need to trust that the river will take you where it wants to go.
So basically, if I'm gonna live, then that's on my path because I'll manifest it. But if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die in the river and the boat.
So the message is only trust. Trust is it.
Trust is it, so.
Trust that you know that you know that you know, and then start choosing everything that feels
Well,
like.
does that resonate with you?
That's what I'm trying to
Obviously,
make
it
sense of
doesn't.
it. Yeah, I'm trying to correlate that.
It doesn't,
Well,
it's
does
not, it
trust-
doesn't seem like it's resonating with you, so.
That's why you keep, yeah.
So I don't even like the word manifestation because of the whole access concept of
It
actualizing
would
is
be
that
back
it
here.
shows up and manifestation is how it shows up. If you get caught up in the how, you handcuff the universe and its ability to deliver what you're choosing. Because you said, I want abundance, but only if I get it by a raise in my paycheck. I'm not willing to receive it any other way, universe. I just need it, because I don't want to do anything else. I just want to go to my job. I want more money just by doing my job. But if you were to really say, universe, I need abundance, I'm choosing abundance, you might, and you follow the energy, you might find yourself, opening up a healing center in a random way,
You're not even
for
having
example.
that job anymore, you're
Yeah.
doing something totally different.
Yeah, and because it's all about you make the choice, or you declare to the universe what you're choosing, and then the universe will deliver you opportunities to express that, but you have to be paying attention to the energies and what you're needing to choose for that to fall in your lap, quite literally. And you are making your own path, ideally.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to correlate it to. Do you correlate it to the path of the soul? We've got our paths, we've got our own,
Oh,
our
trust.
free will thinking down here that we're doing our own thing in these bodies, but our soul really says, hey, this time I'm going down, I'm gonna be Dave,
Oh.
and I'm gonna do this.
I think of it more of as a script, and I relay it back, and I know most of you have heard this probably many times, but I look at that musical Into the Woods, that all the fairy tales are happening at the same time in the same forest interacting with each other. We're all in the same forest, the earth, right? And we all have our own scripts. We had a play that was written that this is ideal, we kind of have a plan, but you know what? You can ad-lib, you can rewrite, you can do all these different things. It was just like, this was the script, but you don't have to stick to it.
And
You
you can
can-
go off course
you-
too.
Oh, I know you
you
can
could-
go off course.
you could
but-
totally do a
but
different
Going
play.
off course is off the path, so then will it still manifest?
No, off course is the path.
You can't
All
help but be,
courses are the
Yeah.
path.
whatever choices you make is
Yeah.
creating wherever you're going.
Yeah,
All courses are the path.
yeah.
There you go.
They are.
No, it sounded so good. I love
Yeah.
it.
Right, you can't help but be on the path because your path is literally the
Yeah.
choices that you've made that lead you
So,
up to that point to
Like
make
I
the next
said, you're
choice.
having a trust issue.
It
comes
sounds like,
down to
yeah, it
trust.
sounds like either a trust or perhaps if this is one of my desires out here and it's not quote unquote on my path, according to whoever's making the path,
All choices are on your path. Pick
then
one.
maybe it's a fear
Pick one.
that I won't
Pick two.
get that. I won't manifest it.
Well, if
See?
you don't like what you pick again.
Right.
Pick it.
And I know we
It's on the
had
path.
someone else join us on Facebook. If you have a contribution, feel free to type it in the chat. We'll read it. If you have a question, type in your question.
So-
This is our test night. This is the first time we're live streaming, so thank you for being on. You're like the two people. This group hasn't been used since like 2012, so woohoo that you're here and you still are in the group. But if you do have a contribution, anything you want to say or questions that you want to ask, go ahead and type it in the chat. I can see it on the computer on this side, so feel free to contribute if you'd like, and if not, that's cool too. Cool.
So, but I like that. So I'm gonna go with that. Is that
We'll go with something.
It's all paths.
Please.
it's all paths. I'm going with it.
Right.
That eliminates the whole issue.
Yes,
So
exactly.
So
All
forget
paths
about
are the
it.
way.
Basically.
Forget about it.
So it's actually maybe it's part of the whole drop mentality. Drop the shit.
Drop it.
Next.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I said, rinse and repeat.
Right, rinse and repeat.
Settled.
Rinse
So-
and repeat.
You know where rinse and repeat came from?
Rich.
Was that Rich? No. Well, no, but it came from them
Rinse.
asking, how do we increase sales? And they came back with adding to the bottle, rinse and repeat. Because then you use more product and people buy more shampoo. It was literally just a sales thing. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah. And all that brings up pot and pock, right?
And we all bought it.
Yeah, well, we bought it. Yeah, do you really need to wash your hair twice? I don't have that problem at all. It backfired on my part because I don't read the bottle now. Yeah, but
What's that? You can get your hair back as soon as you want it.
I don't necessarily want it.
That's what irks me about the yogurt. The yogurt used to be larger, and they've reduced the ounces inside the yogurt, and they've kept the same price. So I quit eating yogurt.
There's just more goodness.
There's less goodness. Yeah, because they
What?
reduced the amount of yogurt.
What?
Yeah.
You gotta try the little Yoplait ones
I
in the glass
I
jars.
thought you were getting
Those
more
are
yeast
good.
per ounce or something, they had really just, injected
Well,
it with
is that what it
extra
is?
yeast.
And then they mark it as 10% fewer calories.
Exactly. It's good.
That's what they
Now with
said.
less calories.
And all that brings up of us being manipulated by that.
Right,
It's doing
yeah.
creative. Oh,
So,
man.
but anyway, I won't go, forget the yogurt people, I don't even eat it anymore anyway, so. You can have their
Well, depends on
yogurt.
what you believe anyway.
It's true. You know, one of the tools from.
I'm gonna create a world where the yogurt's back to
it's-
10 ounces
well,
again.
I think
That's
it's,
what-
You know what's funny, from younger people's point of view, they don't even know there was bigger packages.
Yeah, they don't, they have no
Bigger
clue.
size.
They don't have that
It is what it
dilemma.
is,
They don't have that.
Just choose the big one.
Friction.
It's just a 16 ounce, you don't have to worry about it, right?
There's an access
It's
tool
cheaper to
that
buy
might.
a 16 ounce anyway, so,
There's
per
a-
ounce.
There's an access tool that might help you enjoy the little yogurt that you have. And I think it's from Being You Changing the World by Dr. Dane here. It's not a CWG book, but it's still really great. And the first 5 bites of anything you eat, you take in total awareness. And you'll find that if you really start doing that, like, you'll fill up and like not even need to eat more food, like by that point. Like, you really energetically have gotten everything that you need from the food, and then you're done.
Just tell the yogurt to be more yogurt.
You could do that too.
Well,
Or take smaller spoonfuls.
The yogurt's-
Like that, my kids, man, with that pudding, the little pudding cups, they get the smallest spoon and they're like
Makes you
skimming
think you're
layer by
eating.
layer off
Yeah.
this thing and just like savoring
Savoring,
every
yeah.
single bite.
Learn from the
Yeah,
children.
and they enjoy it so much more, but it's the same amount of pudding.
Yeah,
You know,
that's-
but just-
reminds me of my dad's stories of pulling potato peels out of the garbage so they could have dinner that night.
Oh, to boil it up for soup or something?
Yeah, and the stories of poorness, so.
Hashtag not poor.
Yeah, but anyway,
So
so,
remember those, so. Poor's gone.
yeah, so, but anyways, so that was my question.
That's the one
Wasn't even a
question.
I guess it was a
Problem
question.
solved.
It was a good question. It led us down a
Yeah.
great path.
Yeah, multiple paths at that.
And they're all
Yeah.
Kept
correct.
changing.
We all were
yeah.
on a different
Yeah,
path
kept
with
changing.
it.
And we got to the same place.
Yeah, down the
Imagine
river.
that.
Canoe.
Well, we didn't say we got in a river or canoe. Hang on.
No.
Well, I brought up-
I actually got on that path with Scott.
We were
I was
rowing
with
your boat,
Scott on
yeah.
the canoe,
Oh, okay, okay,
going down
yeah.
the river, so I was on the same path for momentarily though.
Momentarily.
Well, you could have been on
Then
that
it
side of the
split.
bank. I could have been on
It
that
split.
side of the bank. He could have been in the center, and that's where the big rock was and kicked him over.
Stuck in the rock. Stuck in the rock.
Very cool.
Okay.
So,
Where are we going next?
I know, I'm thinking, where to go next.
No,
You guys
either
got
question or
Let's go to
Steve.
369.
Steve will, oh, another solfeggio frequency here. 369, that is the oot frequency in orcs, the tonic note of the day.
All right.
Yeah. Let's see if it lives up to its potential here. Ooh, we got a list. Let's see.
That's how all paths lead.
And so, book 2 is all about global truths and things, just to put this into context. And so Neil asks, and once more for those of you who are slow, such an ununified world federation would produce, and I think they're talking about if we were to actually go to a functional, like, single government, that it would do, 1, an end to wars between nations and settling of disputes by killing, 2, an end of abject poverty, death by starvation, and mass exploitation of people and resources by those of power. 3, an end of the systematic environmental destruction of the earth. We really need that. Well, we need all of them so far. 4, an escape from the endless struggle for bigger, better, more. 5, an opportunity truly equal for all people to rise to the highest expression of self. 6, an end to all limitations and decriminalizations holding people back, whether in housing, in the workplace, or in the political system, or in personal sexual relationships. And then Neil says, would your new world order require a redistribution of wealth? And Neil says, or God says, it would require nothing. It would produce voluntarily and quite automatically a redistribution of resources. All people would be offered a proper education, for instance. All people would be offered open opportunity to use that education in the workplace, to follow careers which bring them joy. All people would be guaranteed access to health care wherever and however needed. All people would be guaranteed they won't starve to death or have to live without sufficient clothing or adequate shelter. All people would be granted the basic dignities of life so that survival would never again be the issue, so that simple comforts and basic dignities were provided all human beings. And Neil says, even if they did nothing to earn it, And God replies, your thought that these things need to be earned is the basis for your thought that you have to earn your way to heaven. Yet you cannot earn your way into God's good graces, and you do not have to because you are already here, or there rather. There is something you cannot accept because it is something you cannot give. When you learn to give unconditionally, which is to say love unconditionally, then you will learn to receive unconditionally. This life was created as a vehicle through which you might be allowed to experience that. Try to wrap yourself around this thought. People have a right to basic survival, even if they do nothing, even if they contribute nothing. Survival with dignity is one of the basic rights of life. I have given you enough resources to be able to guarantee that to everyone. All you have to do is share. And the crowd goes silent.
It's a long reading.
Mhm.
It's a long reading, so.
Can you
At the
read-
very beginning, though, does he say something about providing the government or the entity was functional? Because I think people's fear is, what if you have a dysfunctional one system? I mean, that's what all those novels were about in the 30s and 40s and Brave New World and
Mhm.
Animal Farm and all that stuff. 1984. So, yeah, I mean, maybe you reap a lot of good things if it's functional, but
Well,
what
and
if
the-
it's a dysfunctional one system?
And he
It'll
implied,
correct
though,
itself.
he didn't speak to it, and we're also not reading this like straight from the beginning of the chapter, so it might have been building up a bit more. But it already said that it would happen kind of naturally with the redistribution of resources. It would require nothing. It would produce voluntarily and quite automatically. So there's a principle called the Maharishi effect, where when a certain percentage of the people have an awareness or a consciousness, it spreads to the rest of the consciousness. So if enough people really could be in this space, there would be a shift of consciousness, and it would just be the way without the politics of having to figure out how to do it.
Well, the opposite of not to be a pain in the butt here. but-
You're fine. That's what this group's about.
The opposite of a Maharishi effect is the one bad apple effect, where it takes one to kind of turn a lot of things, or some things, the other way.
What if you can't have a bad apple and a bunch of good apples?
Possibly.
What if? Why not?
Well, what if that one bad apple is necessary because in the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not?
What?
What if that one bad apple needed to be there because in the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not?
I think I would have to think about that for a good part of the day.
So in other words, in the duality, in order to have light, you have to have dark somewhere.
Got that part,
Et cetera,
yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. So what if the one bad apple is the contrast needed so that you can truly know experientially all that this is creating and actualizing and all that?
Mhm.
And the bad apple is just playing their part
Mhm, mhm.
so that there could be the contrast.
Mhm.
And their call to be the bad apple is just as divine as the rest.
Mhm,
And we could love them for it.
mhm. That's the hard part, right there.
Well,
I think
when
we have
we're
to
in
love
that
them, we
space
just
where
have to
all this
forgive
is
them.
happening, we would be in the space where you could do that.
Mhm.
You may not be able to do it now, but you will be able to do it.
That's one of my favorite CWD tongue twisters. In the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not. So one of my go-tos, like, and people are like, well, what? And then Axis has a similar one.
I was
Everything
thinking
is the
Chris's
opposite of what it
statement.
appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And when you run into something that's just totally wonky and you start saying that, or the CWG one, it just like shifts the energy around it and it takes the charge off. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, and I had another awareness, kind of playing with what you had, Paul, that came in, because when we were talking about, or the line where it was like, everybody would be able to be all that they can be, I got this sense that it was like, there would
We
be
can join the army.
abundance. Yeah, it would be like an abundance where like, just because somebody is choosing to be like more of who they be, it wouldn't be a lessening of people who were still maybe expanding slower or learning who they are slower, like in that world where it's like, doesn't mean everybody is equal and on the same path, it's just that everybody is given space to grow as they grow to be who they
On their own
be.
frequencies.
Yeah, and there's not this put down where it's like, oh my gosh, Bill Gates has $1 bajillion and he does so much crap in the world, and Microsoft's a terrible company, and look at all the death and destruction we're in the world. I got from this was to be like, hey, that person has that, cool. This person has what they have, and they're just different. It's not that one would be this
Greater than.
greater than dystopian thought that you get from
Dystopian.
some literature where it's like
I don't
you'll
know
get
what
this
that means.
one global power and it'll be menacing towards the little man. I got the sense that it would be
It's
like
not,
they
yeah.
would be there, but then people would also have the space to still be them. That was
Mhm.
little awareness that I picked up on. Because I was about to go down that same, like, well, what if I'm like, no, that doesn't sound like the right message from God.
Mhm. Anything else around that? Or questions, anything on topic, off topic, or?
Yeah, I was like, so what is that, how is that pertinent today? Like, how much of that has changed since Neil and God had their conversation, and today, like, what?
Well,
Thought we were in the ever-pro,
that's why he wrote book 4, which is called Awaken the Species, and it's all about right now humanity stepping into the place where they would be this. I haven't read the book yet, to be honest. It hasn't felt light yet. But I have it on Audible. I turned it on once, and then I turned it off and turned on Dane and listened to his.
Well,
But there's a whole, that's why, and he thought he was done writing. And then there's book 4. He's like, oh, okay. And book 4 is out. I know Dave has read it. I think Brian has read it. But I just never have, I know that when it comes to his books, like when I first started reading his work, I zoomed through book 1, zoomed through book 2, and then when I got to book 3, it was just like hitting a wall. And no matter how many times I read the same page, I just couldn't read it. And it wasn't until years later, and then I finally was like, okay, now it's time, and I could read through it no problem. I don't know what it is. So apparently I'm not ready to be a highly evolved being.
when did he write book 4?
Last year?
Last year.
Okay, because that resonated
It was
with
the
me
year
more
before,
than
wasn't it?
his older works.
It was the year before.
Was it the year before?
Yeah. I remember I got you that book.
Is that
Your
what he's,
birthday.
Okay.
I can remember it was the year before, yeah.
So 17.
And I will say that when
Yeah.
when I go through his works now, I find myself putting a much more access spin on things a lot of times, because what he wrote was perfect for the time, but we're in a different space now. And I just take everything
Yeah.
as little trampolines and jump with it to go a little bit in a different direction with it.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and read that one again, because it didn't hit me
Since I
like
read
the other
it,
books did. It was kind of like I don't know, maybe I wasn't ready to read it yet or something, but it didn't hit me like the other 3 did. And certainly not like the first.
Didn't awaken your species.
Yeah, it didn't, yeah. But now, maybe if I read it
Yeah.
again, maybe it'll make more sense,
Yeah.
So like I went back and read the first one on my way to Chile and throughout the Chile trip, and everything I was reading in there was all, I had no more questions anymore. I'm like, oh, this makes so much more sense.
Well, and I do like when I go back and
So
read
it was
things
really cool.
again, or we have these conversations, and I see how I can take the thing that I knew then and apply it in a different way today, or I love that.
Too.
My favorite book, if you had to pick one CWG book to read, not the trilogy, is called Communion with God. And it's all about the 10 illusions and how they build on each other.
That was
And
good.
yeah, it's basically how we fool ourselves in being separate from all there is, even though that we are all there is. You're the only one in the room, but you're separate. And all that is a dynamic house of cards that's created so that all this can be the way it is. Kind of fun. At least I like it.
Yeah, it too.
understanding the illusion.
so is book 4 what he's gonna be talking about this summer at Lily Hill?
Probably. I want to go, but I don't want to go, so.
Where is it gonna be?
He'll be on Lilydale again.
Oh, yeah,
Where-
okay.
Where?
Lilydale, it's
New
3
York?
hours in,
New York.
Yeah, from here it's 3 hours on I-90, second toll exit in New York.
So it's not quite to Buffalo.
No, it's
So a
way
few
up.
exits, 2, 3 exits.
Shortly into New York on
Yeah.
90.
He's got at least an all-dayer, maybe more.
Yeah, he usually does a Friday night and then an all day,
Oh.
because it doesn't cost much more to bring him in for a second day, so it's like $3,000 more, so why not do it?
Mhm.
Because I looked at bringing him to Cleveland, and then I couldn't get, there's like keynote speaker insurance. So like if you have to cancel or his flight, something happens, like they pay all your marketing stuff and reimburse everybody. But he had recently had a heart surgery and I couldn't get the insurance. So I'm like, no, I'm good. I will let it go. Because it was gonna be like 18 grand just to his appearance fee, plus travel, plus everything else. So that's like a lot of money to not have the insurance, in my opinion. Call it fear, call it practical business sense. I chose not to do it. Also, I didn't have $18,000 at the time.
Interesting.
But for me, they would have let me put 50% down, so that was good.
I guess, I think I will go back and read book 4 because it does talk about, how the highly evolved beings are gonna begin to start helping us more now and intervening.
That's the same message that Access gives.
And that's where I've been lately,
Same
is
as-
leaning on
He's-
guides and such, and really leaning more, so not leaning, but, calling them in and bringing them in where I wasn't really doing that for the past couple of years. And it's like, oh yeah, I forgot I got this whole arsenal of people and beings up there or whatever that are there to help. And it's like, why wouldn't I bring these people in my hardest times? It's like I keep thinking I'm by myself, but that's probably my sign. I'm always doing stuff on my own because that's who I always
One of the
did.
greatest questions I took away from the Talk to the Entities class is you ask your teammates, your guides, whatever you want to call them, what could I ask you to do that I never knew I could ask you to do to create the most possibility for whatever it is? And then you just get the energy around it and be like, yeah, do that. And everything that prevents a pot of pock. And that's started creating so much more space for me. And next Monday, I start the advanced training at 3 a.m. in the morning. Are you doing that too? Do you want to come up here and have a pajama party?
Yeah, I thought you were going to
That's morning.
Pop it?
pop it.
I haven't got it, so they took forever getting back to me, and I just got an email saying they can do it, but I haven't, officially got the sign up. Why, were you interested in?
I was interested if it was a pop, maybe.
They'll do a delay, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the time after, so. I can still do that. I'll do everything tonight when I get home, or before I leave here. Because I'm taking it either way, so it doesn't do anything. As long as there's people sign up for the pop, then they'll roll with it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd choose it right now though, so it may be a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Magic Mike was gonna do it, but then some, like that whole inner tube turning upside down thing, that happened to Mike. And so he's just in a different space in the moment. But we'll see.
I've done it too.
Yeah.
There's not much I haven't done.
I think I'll see him tomorrow for the
Something
concert,
like
so.
this.
I think he'll be here tomorrow for the concert.
Yeah, he was sharing it on Facebook.
Yeah, he's at a concert tonight.
Yeah, he said, he shared one tonight, and then I'm like, and then there's one today too. I'm like, wow, or tomorrow. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of singing bowls happening.
And there's one in Mansfield tonight too.
Yeah, and Sonic Alchemy, which is the group he's at tonight,
Yeah.
and me, and then the Gong Experience will sometimes get together and do we call it the sound convergence, so it's 3 sound groups just jamming at the same time. It's fun.
That's awesome.
There's a wall of gongs, there's all the bowls, and then Brian is a master at the dish. He's just and I'm like, how do you do that? He has a circular breathing. He could just play nonstop, 30 minutes, just constant dish. Never taking up, you never stopping because he does the breathing while still exhaling. It's amazing. I must learn the secret.
There's a YouTube tape on how to do that.
I've watched many. I've done the
He's
straw
not ready to do it
exercise.
yet.
I think I just need to channel some little Aboriginal guy, let him come in and show me.
I've gotten better at it, so I can go probably 45 seconds, 50 seconds, but I'm not breathing
No,
in.
me
with
neither.
it,
That's why I use the gong. I'll blow, and then when I have a
Yeah.
breath, I'm just like, bong! No one heard my breath because I hit the gong.
There you go.
That was fun. Cool. Where are we going next?
So where we were with that, I think, was there anything outstanding from that discussion?
Oh, we just got an appointment reminder for the
Chased a
festival.
bunch of rabbits there. I don't remember what we were talking about. We chased so many rabbits.
Well, we were just talking about the utopia spoiled by the bad apple.
Oh, yes, that part of it.
Michael Jackson's.
I like the aspect of it, of like you mentioned, the Maharishi thing, which is like, are you talking about like the 100th monkey syndrome?
Yep, the same thing.
Yeah. So I like that aspect of it, and I feel like we're moving towards that consciously as far as raising the consciousness of the world. So I think we're actually getting closer to what he's talking about with that, because
It's gonna
there's more
happen.
people that are awakening, you know,
Mhm.
and the more people that are
Well, this
awakening,
is the first wave.
it's going to pop. Yeah,
Mhm.
Because
exactly.
we all have
That's what I felt.
to integrate all this so that we can help the next wave.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then the next wave will come and then we'll shift
Who-
into the new reality and
Who
then.
had the message that our generation right now is part of the transition? Was that, I feel like we were here and that came up.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, we were talking about something like, yeah, this.
I know
the
Access
current-
recognizes it because any
Yeah.
child, they'll train for free. And
Yeah.
because they say they're the ones that are gonna fix the mess with
Maybe,
it.
maybe it was an Access. I can't remember. I just know that message has come through before. That saying that we're here to guide the next, yeah, whoever. When I come back again in my next lifetime, not next lifetime, it's just gonna be way better.
But you're assuming they go in order.
Okay, when I come
You're-
back, whenever it is, in the ever-present
So
now.
But you're saying
Yes.
you want to come back in the future? Or do you want to come back in the past? Or do you want to come back in the now?
No, when
Or
you
it had
said
to be
it,
a-
I totally got it. I was like, yeah,
Okay.
that's, yeah, you're right. Like, you could pick wherever.
Because time is not linear.
Yeah,
It
we're.
is everything but linear.
How do you want to experience something right now? Actually, that kind of blew my mind momentarily. No, that I got a lot from that. Thank you. Well, I just like saw the timelines going wee.
No, they go more like this. Then you just kind of, and they go up. And then you just kind of pick where you're going.
Were
Kinda
you
like
talking about
Quantum
the
Leap
shift
when he
right
describes
now?
time as like the
'Cause
ball
when
yarn and you're jumping
coming back in
between
the
spots.
future,
Yeah.
This whole shift is
Yeah.
taking place.
Well, we all came
'Cause-
back to now to fix now.
But, let me think on that.
We all came back to now to fix now.
There's a movie, movie I just watched, and that was the case. God, I get what you're saying,
That sounded like one of those duality higher truth things. Got a couple good ones today.
Yeah.
I've been saying that since the early 80s. So I'm sorry we had to come back and fix it. My wife was like, what are you talking about?
Sounds like Dr. Emmett Brown.
Great Scott! we got it.
Yeah.
We've got
Thank
to
you.
go back.
Yeah, you could be like a Christopher Lloyd, like stunt double, I think.
The hair's
It's
gonna
like
be more.
Interstellar, that's the movie I'm thinking of, may see that.
We brought ourselves here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, because it's what and it was so mind blowing when I watched that.
Their depiction of the fifth dimension's a little strange.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cool film though. Cool idea.
I
Which
love
film?
that movie.
Interstellar.
It's so good.
If you haven't seen it,
Definitely gotta see
You
it.
gotta
uh,
see it. That's one of my
yeah,
favorite movies.
It's cool.
Probably seen it
Doctor
like six
Strange.
times.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of when you
Yeah.
said that, because when he goes into like the bookcases and he is the ghost. So
Yeah, it's like they deal with like the planet's dying and like it's just how humanity is able to like flow through space-time basically to get to somewhere new without like
Stargate.
something like that. Yeah, where it's just like it's just in the consciousness, the humanity consciousness transfers to a new place.
yeah.
And they like describe it through the film through the bookcase, like he's coming back to his daughter as a child, like
Because
through this
she's saying like,
bookcase.
there's a ghost.
Yeah.
It put a whole new twist on
He's like
spiritual. Like what if what it is us trying
Yeah.
to just kind of help us along, or
because he like comes like he's like pushing stuff off his daughter's bookcase as like a child to give her like notes like from where he's at.
yeah, and
like,
she's
she figures out
figured it out.
the mathematical formulas to like do the spaceship stuff. Like
Cool.
And he sees
Sounds like my
himself
cup of
getting
tea.
ready to go up, and
Yeah.
it's so good.
I'll definitely have to.
You
check it
have
out.
to
Is
see
that a
it.
good film to play during like a bar share?
Yeah, we could do that for like a.
Practitioner share.
Yeah, we could do it at a partition. I mean, this group would be like a fun group, I think, to watch it with. Like,
Sure. We could just have a movie night.
Yeah,
Bring
we
the
could just do a movie
popcorn.
night.
Yeah, we can't like charge for the movie because of that whole copyright thing, but we could like just get together and watch a movie.
I'll
Charge
bring
for
the
the popcorn.
Yeah.
Well,
just a little potluck.
actually, that might work better than doing it at like a bar straight or something even. Because I feel like the movie, like people want to like watch the movie.
Oh, I love that
You know,
Sure.
movie.
like
Well, it's even better the second time you watch it.
I haven't watched it a second time.
I've seen it like 6 times.
Oh,
So the
wow.
second time you're like, because the first time it was just mind blowing. I'm like, oh my, I was just so awakened by it. And then you do know it's gone the second time, and you catch
Yeah.
things you didn't, you know.
And
but
there's
it's fantastic.
hang on,
Just the messages that come through in that movie. I'm like, man, that's good. Didn't think about that. Yeah, the whole time thing. Because at the end, he's in that dimension. So he's in all these different places, and his daughter's in all these different time frames. And wow,
It really helps with the whole time concept.
yes,
Like you were saying, like there's.
it really helps you understand the time. But there's no
There's no
time.
linear to it whatsoever, so that was really
That's what it's
cool the
getting
way
to.
they
There is no
presented
time,
that.
and it
Yeah.
shows how, like, what's going on.
Mhm.
There's cycles, that's it.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a book, let me find it, that is very good, that ties into that film.
You have any
Hmm.
questions on 369?
Oot. It's oot.
Well, it brings me up another question, not a question, there was something about,
Another answer.
yeah, another answer.
417 would be next if we wanted to follow the Silvergeo scale. Then 528.
Well, the 369 is the manifestation, that the 3 is that.
What if we do 528?
The 3 is the thought, the 6 is the universe bringing it to you, the 9 is the manifestation of it. So that's what I've read anyway. But it makes me think of this other thing that I was reading in this book that came out of the Chile trip, was that you don't want to try and manifest things, you want to just create them.
Allow them.
So you just create them, you don't, because if you're I'm trying to think how it was said.
Does manifesting have a conjure kind
Well,
of
Yeah.
connotation?
Sourcing.
to it?
Yeah, it's kind of,
Sorcery.
and actually to correlate to, it just hit me just now, to correlate back to CWG, CWG is all about being. You know, you want to be that which you desire, what you're trying to manifest.
You're the state
So-
of being that you're choosing, and then the universe delivers you to opportunities to express the beingness you're doing.
All right, so if I want to be free and travel the world, I have to be that now.
Right.
And I always had trouble when you guys talked about that, even years ago. It's like, well, how do you be something that you're not right now? But that's the whole correlation, is that you're not manifesting it, you're being it, and that's the
Well-
creation part. Is by being it, you're creating it. You're not really manifesting. You're
Because
it's just-
everybody's a great
it's here.
human, nobody knows how to be.
The tools that
So-
they give you, like Jerry Nestor Hicks, is you visualize what it would feel
Be that
like
now.
and get into the space of what it
Dude,
would
write
feel
it
like to
down.
do that. And then you
Yeah.
function from that
That's
place, and then
really
that's gonna bring you follow the energy then
I read a
to
book.
We could do
actualize
that.
that beingness in your life.
It is a feeling.
Right.
The books and,
All courses
Neville
are the
Goddard.
path. by Scott.
that's all it is. We need to get back on those, by the way.
And then asking
All
questions.
paths, of course.
My Neville Goddard, the
That's book
filling
two.
pacific books.
Mhm.
Good stuff. I'm gonna get on that.
But there's a congruency issue with that as well, because we can say, I want the freedom to travel the world, I want to be that freedom or whatnot. And then we sometimes will make choices that are direct opposition of actualizing that.
Yeah.
And so there's like, well, you've decided what you're choosing to be or who you're going to choose to be, and now you make all your choices in alignment with that state of being. So I'm going to choose to be healthy. As you turn in McDonald's, that's a direct opposition.
I'm just listening yet to a program
Why is
about
it
that
direct
very
opposition?
subject. There's that Sadhguru.
What's that, Scott?
Why
He
is
was
it
talking
direct
about that.
opposition?
That is another point too. You're right, and it's also wrong, unless it's not.
That's
I'm
why
just
unless
asking
it's
why.
not.
Well, but that's the thing. What's the they're doing something to spite
I
them,
never
in
eat
spite of
McDonald's.
themselves. I don't either.
But
Yeah.
there's many people that do eat it and think it's healthy.
I'll get
True,
that
your
sweet.
point of view creates your reality.
Yeah.
But whether it's McDonald's or something else, though, are all the choices you're making, like the people who come for a reading, I had like 3 readings today, and every single one had career in it. And it's like, okay, well, if you want a different career, are you looking to see what else you can do? No. Did you do a resume? No. Are you,
Not taking the
it's like
action.
they're choosing that they want to be this thing of financial abundance and they want to do something that they're passionate about and all that. Yet they're not doing actions or setting things up in alignment for them to actualize it. They're just like, they just want the universe to go, here you go, but they don't want to be involved in it. They don't want to be present with the actual process. Ooh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You make your choice and then you are present with the process and you follow the energy. I like that, present with the process.
The process can be transformational.
Yes.
To allow
Mm.
the
Well,
other.
it's just
to
like a
happen.
flower getting ready to bloom.
You know, part of what it is we show up for like 10% of our life and the other 90% autopilot's driving. Unless you took a bars class and had your Beckham deactivated, but anyway, just saying. Yeah, you got a bars class coming up next
I
month.
do. Yeah.
It's the same day as facelift, so I told Ryan he should switch his
Yeah.
to EET.
Well, I've had so much of a problem with like picking class dates because it's like no matter what date you pick, it's like overlapping with
No, well-
something somewhere. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's true. But, like, Ryan had already said he was gonna do a bar, because usually the fourth Saturday of the month, we do like an Access class.
Yeah.
And he happens to be doing facelift, and it's like, well, just switch those two. That way the bars and the facelift aren't on top of each other, and you might actually get play back from each other or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know if he's gonna do it or not.
Yeah. We'll see.
I
I
hope.
was gonna host something at my house too, not
I saw-
necessarily here at the center, unless it was gonna be.
No, but it's on the same day as the bars class was scheduled at the center,
Oh.
because it's
So
the fourth
funny.
Saturday.
Funny.
Yeah, so, actually, was it?
No, it should be the third Saturday.
No, I'm thinking August. It was August.
August might be.
Like in July, we're not doing one, or we're moving it because Heather's here for foundation.
Okay.
So.
Funny how that energy works.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, August 24th is the fourth Saturday, and that's when the bars class is scheduled here, but he was doing facelift anyway, so at least it's not the same class.
Yeah.
But I was telling him, switch bars and EET, that way, like, people that are going to your bars class hopefully may come to facelift and vice versa.
What's space?
It's another body process. You can take it without having to take bars, but having taken it, I think you really should have bars first, because a lot of the stuff, like the manual assistant, it does not explain half the shit that it does in bars. It would be a better contribution for anybody to take bars first and then facelift, in my opinion. But, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna.
Push the reset button.
Yeah, I was gonna add to the conversation we're having with
Easy.
about
Make it
being
easy button.
like being the energy. I was gonna ask you, Dave, just how has that message changed for you in the last year, especially after your Chile trip? Like, does that come through different for you, or
The being part?
yeah, just
Yeah.
like being the
Well-
what's that been like?
Well, the whole chili thing was all relative to looking through the heart and creating with the heart.
Yeah, going into that
Instead of
heart
mind,
space.
into the heart
Yeah.
space, and that's just changed everything. Like the being part that we were just talking about, it's like, and I'm growing my hair out. You guys don't know that because you never know what I look like before. But I always said when I retire, I'm going to grow my hair long again. So, and I'm doing it right now. So,
Why
because
retire?
I'm going to be, so if I'm going to be retired, I'm going to grow my hair when I retire. Then I'm going to be that now. So I'm growing my hair out. So I'm prepping for the retirement. And that's, I don't know if that's answering your question at all, but coming into the going from manifesting something to creating something, it's like, well, I'm creating it now because I'm being it now.
Right.
Does that make sense?
What if it was just as
Yeah.
easy as allowing something?
Well, that was one of the things that broke through back in January with
Yeah.
the allowance issue, and I
'Cause
dropped all that.
Somewhere, I don't
Allowance is so-
know which
Yeah,
book.
I was
That
really
was a
hung
big
up on
one for me to
allowance.
break through finally. It was like, what if you just had allowance? And I was like,
Right.
what if I did just have allowance?
Right.
Like,
But isn't an
Yeah.
allowance
Yeah.
restricting?
No, not
If you give your
necessarily.
child an allowance, choose the set
I'm not
amount.
talking about money allowance, or Steve.
Just-
Why do I want to call you Steve?
well, it's like what if somebody's like,
Now we're getting into the meaning of the word.
now we're really getting there. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
well, in somewhere in here, I don't remember where, but it talks about in the ever-present moment and now, everything that ever will be is. And it's not so much that you're creating it, you are
Right.
shifting your awareness to allow it to be in your immediate reality. And so the subject of creation is more sourcing the choice to be present now in your immediate experience, because it already exists. There's nothing that doesn't exist. And it's just a matter of allowing it to be in your reality.
Did God create the
I like
universe?
that.
Are we really here?
We may not be at all. We just think we are.
It's all mindfuck.
This is the dream, so.
Well,
It is a dream.
somewhere,
It
I
is.
guess I could remember where the pages are, but it describes the whole
Dream, too.
totality of God
Wow.
as, imagine being all there is, all at once in the ever-present moment of now, right? And you just know conceptually everything that ever could be, would be, is, etc. You would literally go out of your mind. Like, so like it's describing, like, so it's basically like you're in a white room, the white room is all there is, then you don't, like, you know everything about it, there's nothing else, and you're just floating there. So in your head, you're like starting to create these,
But you're assuming in a white room is all white.
this is all linguistics, it's all limiting. But the idea is if you conceptually know everything there possibly is, the only way to experience anything is to fool yourself in that you aren't all there is, so you can have, but the reality is, in the ever-present moment now, everything is. There's nothing that isn't, unless it's not, and then it is.
It all becomes aware it is.
You're just being a
When
jerk
it's
now.
not.
The last part
Yeah, I can tell the energy is shit. though.
Just the last two.
It's just
The last two was it,
Oh, man.
No, but that is the concept, that everything is all at once, and then it's just a matter of allowing that to be in your immediate reality, your perception.
So,
Snacks.
I never thought about this before, but is that hurting us or helping us?
What?
What?
The more,
Yes.
I mean, it sounds stupid, I never
Yes.
even thought about, to know as much as we can, because we're here for these experiences and
Yeah.
to be human. So the more knowledge we gain by knowing what's going on, doesn't it take away from it's like we're not supposed to know all that, because how we're going to have this experience if we know what's going on. Like, oh, this is all a dream. Well,
That's a no.
it's like, okay, did it
Well,
spoil
and-
that? Okay, that we're here for that, but now we're like, okay, I know why I'm here now.
Right.
It's just a dream. and
In
this is
communion
this,
with God,
this
it
is
talks
that.
about that. It says, once you recognize the illusion as the illusion, you use it for the purpose of which it was intended, which is to simply be in that separation, yet being an infinite being. So you can manifest that infinite beingness in the physical plane in any way you choose. So the idea would be as aware as much as you possibly can without slipping back into oneness.
But then you go. That's where I find myself 1 foot there and
Well,
1 foot
right,
here. It's
in the
like
world, but
sometimes
not of
hard
it.
to balance that.
That's where that saying comes from, in the world but not of it, living in both
Yes.
worlds. And you're
Don't sink into it.
in
just
that teetering.
float. But it's hard,
In Transcendental meditation, that's the whole goal through the sutra meditations, is you are getting to the point where you can distinguish between transcendence and finest touch, finest taste, finest sense, finest intuition, finest intelligence. And you're able to distinguish those differentiations between the oneness, and you can get that finest line. And then you can just let the divinity rip and see what actualizes and manifests.
That needs to go somewhere. Let the divinity rip.
There's a good one.
Let her rip.
Let it rip.
So that answer your question, does that answer your question then?
Yeah, it
If
does.
you know
It's
too
just-
much, or
it's-
does it ruin it,
Well, I mean,
So,
That's why I don't like the Buddhism idea, is that you go up the mountain, like it's in terms of ascendance or whatever, and then you come back down the mountain. So there's this constant flow back and forth. What if you could just have 1 foot at the bottom of the mountain, 1 foot at the top, and just kind of,
play in between. Yeah.
be in both places, be in the world but not of it.
Well, that's kind of I think that was kind of the message with the CWG, is that's kind of our goal, is to be what you just said, is to be human, but to be able to also be spirit in the human body.
but
If that makes
sometimes
sense.
that's hard,
So.
try to balance that, because you
We
are
spirit
here,
in a human body.
but you're
Right,
aware of
but
all
we're not
these
aware
other
of it.
things, and it's like,
No, most aren't aware of it.
okay,
Yeah.
like certain things that you do like through the day, it's like, oh, I know better than that. I know what this is,
Mhm.
but yet you still do it because you're human. But you know you have that higher,
Yeah. I had two things that I picked up from what you said. The first was that so I get the sense that you're looking to grow and expand, right? That's the
Yeah,
sense I
it's
got.
like there's
you
no way I
probably wouldn't
can't,
have-
you know,
probably
that's
wouldn't
my
have been-
life, but it's
Probably
like,
wouldn't have come here
it's
if you
ignorance
didn't have a
bliss.
little bit of interest in.
Right.
So the first thing I got was like, as you're expanding, the universe won't give you more knowing than you can handle. Like, it won't just give you, like Hank was saying, like, if you just had everything dumped into you all at once, you would just,
Ah.
you would
Yeah,
literally
right.
become like cosmic dust, basically, and just return to source. So, like, the universe won't give you, like, more.
That'd be a choice.
Fell on his head
Yeah,
and
That would be a
exploded.
choice.
It would be a choice. Like, you won't get more than you can handle. So, like, yeah, you're always going to be growing, but it's like the awareness is you'll have 10 years from now, you'll get 10 years from now because you'll be there. Like, you'll be ready for it, right? And you'll look back and go, wow, I could not have done that.
Yeah,
10 years ago, I would have been like,
Yeah.
no way. And the second thing was that the thought, I'm not sure I believe it fully, but it's just the message that came through is that you're just relearning what you already knew at some
Oh,
point
just
in the
remembering, like,
universe. Yeah,
what-
you're just remembering,
Just remembering it,
what already is.
Learning to
Those were
remember.
the two.
learning to remember.
Or one of the jokes Neil makes is seeing the churches, it's the reassembly of God. Like assembly of God, the reassembly. Putting yourself back together as a divine being. Fonda puzzles. Yeah, thank you.
Well, according to the story, we all fractured when we
Yeah.
left heaven.
Fractured what?
Our being.
Like our whole being,
We fractured into 12. That's why 13 is so bad.
Well, that's why we square 12 to get 144.
Yes. I always have a play on numbers.
And just
or, it's like it lost out, I'm not a numbers person.
Just to
Scott
mind
slash Steve.
Steve Scott.
Steve Scott.
Scott Steve.
I know a key Steve. Scott Steve.
Steve.
Reminds
I'll
me
be
of-
Joe. Will that help you?
SS.
Reminds me of my son when he was younger, and he just wanted to change his name, just that Jeff, just Jeff, but no, he
Just
didn't
Jeff?
want that. He wanted to change his name for the
To
longest
just
time. It's Jeffrey, but we call him Jeff. But
Or is
he
it
wanted to be
just
called
Jeff?
Steve. That's he's like, no, and every time I would say Jeff, he's like, my name's Steve. I'm like, okay, Steve. So that made me think of that. Steve.
A lot
Okay,
of fake
Steve.
people use that name. Just at the bank, there was always like, when people make synthetic IDs with like other people's information, they always pick like names like Steve Miller. And like, so like you get the phone call
Yeah,
for
what is
the
that,
account
Steve?
that's
Oh my
about to
gosh.
do check kiting, and then you hear like this Indian voice go, "Are you doing something? My name is Steve." And it's like, you're not Steve. And like, and you're the same Steve I spoke to 10 other times.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a.
You got Steve stuck in your head.
Yeah, but then when you run that social, it doesn't even go to Steve Miller. It goes to like Claudette somebody else, and it was like a fake person. Arr.
There's
Anyway,
a
Steve.
YouTube video of these prairie dogs, and this prairie dog goes, Steve, 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 Steve. Wait, no, maybe it's Al. Al, Al, Al. It made me think of that. It's like, wait, no, maybe it's Jeff.
Maybe
Steve,
it's not.
Hey, we're off topic.
That's
I
okay.
think so.
Yeah, we always have to get a little
It's Hank's
goofy
fault.
towards the end. You know.
Is it the end?
Oh,
Fault. It
it's
was-
almost
it was your
8:30.
dilemma
We can always
there,
go
so
over.
You started it.
But I'll
So
stop
it-
the stream
It
on
triggered a
time.
memory.
There you go.
Then we can continue to have like the
You
afternoon party.
triggered a remembrance.
That's it. Hey, I did it.
I like it.
It was there. I just had to remember.
Mhm.
It's always there. It's always there.
One of the meditations that they recommend in there to get into the space of recognizing that you're all one and there's nothing that isn't God is as you walk through and you notice as many things as you can notice, you just do the I am meditation. I am that, I am that, I am you, I am that, I am. And it just puts you in the space of just recognizing that you are the only one in the room and these are all different manifestations
that
of
a
that same
lot.
divine.
I do say that out loud a lot. I am.
I am.
I am. Because I do that. Yeah, it does. It does work.
You were.
I've been doing that for about a year, like really, really putting, feeling into like I am.
It's like I said,
Not
my
just,
favorite
okay,
letter of the
I am
alphabet
this.
is
I'm like,
I.
I am this. But it does work.
You understand? The best letter of the alphabet is I.
I.
Just walk in front of the camera, man.
Yeah, Sean. I forgot about the camera.
Now he's gonna do it on purpose.
It's attention, Gary.
Steve,
Yeah.
Um,
Steve Jeff. Joe.
Steve, Jeff, Joe, Scott.
Rock on. This worked out really well, though.
Good.
The anxious. I turned the autopilot off halfway through because half the time it's like I'm staring at my ball head. I'm like, I'm not the one talking, man. So I think I'll just keep it on that open thing like that.
There you
take
go.
powder.
No questions came through from the people?
No, I don't think they were on long.
Oh,
And one of the
okay.
person, well, anyway, never mind. I won't
Too-
say
they're
what
too
it's on.
silly.
Well,
may
they
watch
can
it
always
later.
watch it later, too. Because like right now, there's only 0 people watching.
Are you gonna hang that somewhere, the recording?
It's already online. It's in Facebook.
Oh, so you
It's
can
in
just go-
Facebook.
You can just go click and watch
Yeah,
now?
you go to the Cleveland Conversations
Facebook.
with God group, and it is in the timeline of that group.
Walking
Right.
not in front of the camera.
What?
So I can go home and watch
We
it?
turn
You
the
could.
camera around.
I was trying to get it here, but I got no service.
Well, we have Wi-Fi. You could use the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I gotta talk to you about that.
Yeah. All right, so for anybody watching the stream on
Replay.
the recording, it's at 8:30, so we're going to turn the recording off. If you want to be here for the after party, then you're going to have to come in person. So, thank you for attending or watching on the back end, and we will be back again next
Ta-ta for
month
now.
on the 4th Thursday of the month. We shall be back. Bye.